start.
Okay. So welcome all. This is the free session related to our the program Swadhyaya, that is the related to the academic session, academic classes, e-classes, which is organized by Ayurveda Map. Myself, Dr. Jasul, the course coordinator of Ayurveda Map. I welcome you all. So today we have the introductory session on Shalyatandra, and our topic is Vriddhi Roga and its Ayurvedic management, and the classes are handling by Dr. Pooja Rajendran. She is the assistant professor, Prasanna College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Beltangadi, Dakshina Kannada. So welcome you, Dr. Pooja, and for the participants, we already circulated the notes to you. So this is an academic session, and after the presentation, you can ask the doubts related to you. This is we are planning 20 classes. This is the first class, and we already 25 classes we are planning, and this is the first class, and we already gave the schedules to you. Okay, if not, we will provide you the WhatsApp group link so that you will get all the details. Okay, so yeah, we can start. Dr. Pooja, over to you, Dr. Pooja.
Okay, thank you. So, good evening, all. As told, I will be dealing with Vriddhi Roga and its Ayurvedic management today, as explained in the Ayurvedic classics, with emphasis on Sushruta Samhita, and also I will be detailing about Mutra Vriddhi with special reference to hydrocele. So, starting, as you all know, Vriddhi, the term is not a new one to all of us, right? From the basics of Ayurveda, we have been dealing with the word Vriddhi, but there it was a pathological increase. In case of the doshas and the adus, the Vriddhi was about its increase in a pathological manner. But in this context of Vriddhi Roga, here it indicates Vrishana Vriddhi or Mushka Vriddhi, or also it is called as the Andakosha Vriddhi, that is correlated to the scrotal swellings. Okay, so we will begin with the Paribhasha, that is the definition. Even though I have mentioned this shloka under the heading Paribhasha, actually this shloka is dealing with the Samprapti also, according to Acharya Sushruta. Acharya have mentioned in this shloka that Tam Vruddhimit Yajakshade, that is, this condition is called Vruddhi. So I have included this shloka under the heading Paribhasha. We have taken it as a definition for this condition. So the shloka is Atha Prakupito Anyatamo Hidosha Falakosha Vahinibhir Abhiprabhatya Dhamani Falakoshayor Vruddhim Janayati Tam Vruddhimit Yajakshade. So Atha Prakupito Anyatamo Hidosha. Here, this phrase can be taken in two ways. That is, the doshas get vitiated in the Adha Sharira, or else in a manner that the vitiated doshas, due to certain reasons, the doshas gets vitiated and it moves in the Adobhaga, in the Adha Sharira, that is in a downward direction, the vitiated doshas will move and it afflicts the Falakosha Vahini Dhamani, that is the vessels or the channels related to the Falakosha will be afflicted and it results in the Falakoshayor Vriddhi, that is the enlargement of the Falakosha, that is scrotal enlargement. This condition is termed as Vriddhi. This is the explanation given by Acharya Sushruta. As I have told earlier, I have given importance on Sushruta Samhita references. I have tried to include Ashtanga Hridayan Charaka also, but mainly it is purely based on the Acharya Sushruta's references. Okay. So this is the Paribhasha mentioned by Acharya Sushruta. This is the Samprapti also. So the doshas gets vitiated and it moves in the other direction, in the downward direction or in the Adha Sharira, and afflicts the Falakosha Vahini Dhamani and causes Falakosha Vriddhi, that is the scrotal enlargement. This condition is called as Vriddhi. So next it is about the Nidana. So Nidana as such is not mentioned by both Acharya and Acharya Sushrutha and Vakbhata. So I have taken the reference from Charaka Chikitsa. In Charaka Samhita, the Vritti Roga is mentioned under the Shvedu Chikitsa. So generally, a Nidana is being mentioned for entire swellings. So I have taken that Nidana here. Here it is told like the Nidanas which are causing Shvedu in general. That is Shuddhya, Amaya, Abhakta, Krisha, Abalana, Kshara, Amla, Tikshnoshna, Guru Upaseva, Dadi, Amamrat, Chaka, Virodhi, Dushta Garo Upasrishta, Anna Nishevanamcha, Harsham Syajishtam, Naja, Deha Shuddhir, Marmopakhato, Vishama Prasuti, Mithyopachara, Pratikarmanacha, Nijasya Hetu, Shvedho Pradishta. That is a general explanation of the etiology of Shvedu. It includes all, specifically it is telling about in persons like who are already undergone the Shodhana procedures, who is suffering from any kind of diseases like Jwara, who is undergoing fasting, Upavasa, Abhakta, Krisha and Abala, who are weakened by nature. If they undergoes the diet which is rich in Kshara, Amla, Tikshna, Ushna, Guru properties, then this can cause Shvedu. Also, in generally, if a person is involving in Dadi Sevana, that also can result in Shvedu, and all kinds of Midhyopachara, improper, even if the person is fit for doing Shodhana, if that person is not undergoing proper Shodhana, then that also can lead to Shvedu. This is a general etiology of Shvedu as such. So nothing but increased intake of Kshara, Amla, Tikshnoshna Ahara, increased intake of Dadi, and indulging in Mithya Upachara, and not properly doing the Shodhana therapies. Such reasons are mentioned for the Shvedu Roga. Next is about the Samprapti. As told already, Samprapti is mentioned in the definition itself, but this is the reference from Ashtanga Hridaya. There also the same thing is mentioned, that is the Vata is getting obstructed. Here it is told that instead of dosha, in general, it is told that Kruddho Ruddha Gadir Vayu, that is there is involvement of Vata dosha, and that will cause the affliction in the Vangshana and Mushka Pradesha, and finally afflicting the Falakosha Vahini Dhamani. What happens? It increases the Falakosha. Same thing, Samprapti is mentioned by Acharya Vakbhata also. Nothing. In addition to that dosha term, here Vata dosha is specifically mentioned. Only that difference is there. So the Vata gets obstructed and it afflicts the Vangshana and Mushka Pradesha, Falakosha Dhamanis, and finally it results in the Falakosha Vritti. Same Samprapti is being told. Next is about the types. So about the types, Acharya Sushruta and Vakbhata are sharing the same opinion, that is 7 types. But Acharya Charaka is not mentioning Raktaja Vritti, and hence according to Acharya Charaka, Vritti is of 6 types. And we can see which are the 7 types. Vata Pitta Shleshma Shonita Medo Mutra Andra Nimitta Sapta Vridhayo Bhavanti. Tasa Mutra Andra Nimitte Vritti Vata Samuthe Kevalam Utpatti Hedu Ranyatamaha. So it is told like which are the 7 vritti, sapta vritti. There are 7 types of vritti being told, vritti rogas, and they are Vataja, Pittaja, Shleshmaja, Shonitaja, Medoja, Mutra vritti, and Andra vritti. So these are the 7 types. And after telling the 7 types, it is told like Tasa, Mutra, Andra Nimitte vritti, Vata Samuthe. Even though the Mutraja and Andra vritti is told separately, they are also caused by the initiation of Vata dosha only. Kevalam Utpatti Hedu Ranyatama. Only difference is that some special causes are being mentioned. Apart from that, all the 7 vrittis are caused basically because of the visheshana of Vata dosha only. So that is the Bheda classification of vritti roga. So next is about the Purva Rupa. So Purva Rupa mentioned as Tasam Bhavishyadina Purva Rupani Basti Kati Mushka Metreshu Vedana Maruta Nigraha Falakosha Shofaschiti. So we can divide it into 3. That is, first is Vedana, next is Maruta Nigraha, and Falakosha Shofa. So first Vedana is told in different regions, that is Basti, Kati, Mushka, and Metra Pradesha. So pain will be experienced in the bladder region and the hip region, lower back region, Mushka, the scrotal region, and the Medra, it's the penis. So penis region, there will be pain. Next is Maruta Nigraha. Maruta Nigraha, literally it means there is some obstruction to the Vata. So here, according to the location of the disease, we can take it as the obstruction of the Adhovata, that is retention of the flatus. And then third one is the Phalakosha Shofa, the typical feature of Vriddhi, that is the scrotal swelling. So these are the things about Vriddhi. Till now, we have discussed about the Paribhasha, the Nidana, Samprapti, the Bheda and the Purvarupa. Hope it is clear till now. Now we will be moving on to the individual types. So first thing is the Vata Vriddhi. So Vata Vriddhi, it is told Tatra Anila Paripurna Bastimi Vatata Parisham Animitta Anila Ruja Vata Vriddhi Machakshate. So it is told Tatra Anila Paripurna Bastimi Vatata. So here Iva Atata. Atata here means Atmada, that is distension. So it is told that there is distension. That is the shofa. The swelling will be appearing like that. It is a bag filled with air. So the swelling seems like it is filled with air. And next, Parusha. Parushata is a typical feature of Vata dosha. So Parusha, the roughness, the on the consistency will be roughness will be present over the swelling. Next is Animitta Anilaruja. Animitta means ahedu. That is without any particular cause, there will be appearance of pain. So these are the features of Vata Vriddhi. That is, the swelling feels like a bag, basti filled with anila. That is bag filled with air. And there will be Parushata, roughness. And Animitta Anilaruja. That is pain, which is without any cause. We cannot tell any particular cause for the pain produced. So this is about Vata Vriddhi. And next, it is the Chikitsa. So in the Chikitsa, it is told Tatra Adido Vata Vriddho Traivrita Snigdha Maturam Swinnam Chainam Yadha Nyayam Payeta Virejana Koshamra Tilva Geranda Vala Tailani Vanara Sakshiram Va Piben Masam Tailameranda Sambhavam Tada Kale Anilaknana Padhe Kalkescha Buddhiman Niruhayet Nirudhamcha Bhuktavandam Rasaudanam Yashti Madhuga Siddhena Tatastailena Yujayet Snehopanaho Kuryascha Pradehanshcha Anilapahan Vidagdam Bhajayitva Va Sevani Parivarjayet Vindya Tada Prabhinnayam Yadhoktam Kramamachari. So the treatment mentioned is first in the Vata Vriddhi case, we have to go with Snehana, that too with Trivrata Snehana. So Trivrata Snehapana should be done. First modality is Snehana, and next it is told about Swedana. Swedana, particular measure is not mentioned. Any kind of Swedana measures can be adopted according to the condition. Chainam Yadha Nyayam Payeta Virejana. After Snehana and Swedana, we have to go with Virejana. And for Virejana, it is told which drug, which combination of drugs should be taken. That is, Virejana should be done with the Taila prepared with Koshamra, Tilvaka, Erandapala. These drugs should be used for the preparation of Taila, and with that Taila, Virejana have to be done. Then another modality is told that Eranda Taila, that is Tailam Eranda Sambhavam. The Eranda Taila should be mixed with Kshira, and this have to be taken for 1 month. Sakshiram va Piben Masam Tailam Eranda Sambhavam. So this have to be used for drinking. Pana. Okay. Then Tada Kale Anilaknana Pade Kalkesha Buddhiman Nirohayet Nirudham Cha Bhuktavantam Rasaudan. That is, then after these procedure, can I continue? Okay. Hope it's by mistake. So next is about the Niruha Basti. It is told Niruha Basti. As you know, for Basti Dravya preparation, we will be using different kinds of Kvadha and Kalka according to the condition. Different types of Basti can be done. And for that Basti Dravya preparation, Kvadha and Kalkas are utilized. Right. So here it is told like Anilakna, Kvadha and Anilakna, Kalka. So the drugs are not mentioned specifically, but it is told any Kvadha and Kalka which is acting as Anilahara, Vatahara can be taken and Basti Dravya can be prepared, and with that Niruha Basti can be administered. And then Nirudham cha Bhuktavandam Rasaudana. That is, after the Niruha Basti, the patient should be given Mamsa Rasa diet. Okay. Then it is told about Anuvasana Basti. That is Tatas Tailena Yoje. That means from that it is understood that it is about Anuvasana Basti. And for Anuvasana Basti, Eshti Madhuga Siddha Taila is suggested here. Next, Sneha Upanaha Puryacha Pradehascha and Labhan. So it is the Chikitsa, even if it is told like this, it should be understood that according to the condition, according to the different uh, time, the treatment suggested can be administered on the basis of the physician's yukti. Okay, so these many modalities have been told, and in addition to that, it is told like Sneha, Upanaha, Pradeha. All these can be administered with Anilahara Dravyas. These are mentioned separately. Then another condition is being mentioned like Vidagda. That is, if the swelling is in the Vidagda avastha, if there is a chance of Paka, then Pachayitva va sevanim parivarjed Vindya tataha prabhinnayam yathoktam kramamachari. That is, we have to go for Pachana. The swelling have to be made pakwa, and then Hedana should be done. Hedana means we have to do the incision, right? So we have to go for Vedana, and then we can, once the entire Vedana, after doing Vedana, the cavity is cleaned, and once the Shodhana is obtained, we can go for Ropana Chikitsa. While doing Vedana, we have to take care that the Sevani, that is the median raphe, should not be harmed. So once again, the Chikitsa told us Snehana, Svedana, Videjana, and especially there is mentioning about the Pana with Kshira mixed with Eranda Taila, then Niruha Basti, Anuvasana Basti, Snehana, Upanaha, and Pradha. Niruha Basti, and then Anuvasana Basti, then Snehana, Upanaha, and Pradeha with Anilahara Dravyas. And finally, if it is attaining a Videkta Avastha, we have to make it Pakwa and then go for Vedana, followed by Shodhana and Ropana. This is what is told about Vritti and its Chikitsa. So, next is Pitta Vritti. Pitta Vritti, the Lakshana is told like Pakku Udumbara Sankasham, Jwaradaha Ushmavati, Cha Ashu Samadhana Pakam, Pitta Vritti. That is, the Lakshanas are told like it is similar to the swelling will be having the resemblance of Pakka Udumbara Phala. Okay, here in the picture you can see the Pakka Udumbara Phala, and next to it we can take a scrotal swelling which is similar to that of the Pitta Vritti. So, Pakka Udumbara Sankasha, Jwara Daha Ushmavati, Cha Ashu Samudhana Pakam Vritti, Pitta Vritti. That is Pitta condition, right? So, there will be Jwara, Daha, and Ushma. Jwara, there will be increased temperature, Daha, the burning sensation, and Ushmavati means from the normal temperature there will be rise. On touch, there will be rise in normal temperature, and Cha Ashu Samudhana Pakam Pitta Vritti. There will be a tendency to separate, and that will be in a rapid manner. So the Pitta Vritti, the swelling will be resembling that of the Udumbara Phala in color or in texture, and there will be associated Jwara, Daha, and Ushma, and there will be a tendency of the swelling to attain Pakavastha in a rapid manner. This Pitta Vritti can be correlated to acute epididymo-orchitis because it is a condition where there is inflammation of epididymis and testis. So it will be associated with that swelling, severe pain. As there is infection, as there is inflammation, there will be fever. There, the inflammatory signs, the redness, the edema, everything will be present. So this Pitta Vritti can be taken as or it can be correlated. The possible correlation can be made with acute epididymoorchitis. Next is about its chikitsa. So in the chikitsa, it is told pitta jayam apakvayam pitta granthi kramohita pakvam va bhedayet bhinnam shodayet shaudra sarpisha shuddhayam cha vishagdadya tailam kalkam cha ropana. So it is told pitta jayam apakvayam. In the amavastha, we can go for pitta granthi kramohita. Pitta granthi krama means whatever chikitsa is mentioned for pitta granthi, that can be administered in the pitta vritti roga if it is in the amavastra. In pitta granthi, what all treatments are told are like jalokavajarna, kshira parisheka, all those shita kriyas have been mentioned. So those treatments can be administered here also in case of this pittaja vritti if it is in the amavastha. And it is told pakvama bhededhina. Once it is pakva, you know there will be pus collection, there will be puya collecting inside the cavity, and hence there is a need that it have to be expelled, it have to be removed. So vedana should be done and the entire content should be removed, the pus should be expelled out, and then once that is removed, for making the proper shodhana, shaudra and sarpi is being used, and after the proper shodhana we can go for ropana with appropriate taila and kalka. Once again, if it is in the amavastha, we can go with pitta granthi chikitsa, and if it attains pakvavastha, we can do the bhedana followed by shodhana with shaudra sarpi, and then once it attains shuddhi, once it attains proper shodhana, we can do the ropana with appropriate taila and kalka. So this is about pitta vritti and its chikitsa. Next, it is about the Shleshma Vritti. In Shleshma Vritti, it is told Kadhinam Alpa Vedanam Sheetam Kantumadi Shleshma Vritti. Here, from the Lakshanas, it is very clear that nothing in special is mentioned other than the Shleshma features. Vitiated Shleshma features, all those features which are directly related to Shleshma is told here. Kadhina, Alpa Vedana. Of course, there is more of Kandu in Shleshma related conditions than Vedana. So, Alpa Vedana. Shita on sparsha means on touch, it will be, it is not like it will be cold as ice, but the temperature will be lowered. Okay, Shita Kandumati. Of course, there will be associated itching. That is the condition given as Shleshma Vritti. And Shleshma Vritti in modern terms, we can correlate it to tuberculous epididymoorchitis. Maybe because of the cheesy appearance of the scrotum and all. Once the scrotum is afflicted with tuberculous epididymoorchitis, there will be cheesy appearance and all, and because of that, in that condition there will be tenderness also will be slightly tender. It's not severe like that of the other conditions, and there will be tuberculosis is always related to cold abscess, right? So because of those features, we can correlate this condition to tuberculous epididymoorchitis. That is all about Shleshma Vritti, and its chikitsa, it is told Vrithim kafatmika ushner mutra pishter plebe Pidadaru kashayam cha piben mutrena samyutam vimlapana trate vapi Shleshma Granthi kramohita pakvayam cha vibhinnayam tailam shodhana mishyate sumana arushkara angota saptaparneshu sadhuda. So it is told first is Vrithim kafatmika ushner mutra pishter plebe, that is pralepa. The modality advised is pralepa, and for that we have to go for Ushna Virya Dravyas mixed with Gomutra. That have to be used for pralepa. And for Pana, it is told like Pita Daru Kashaya. Pita Daru Kashaya here means Daru Haridra Kashaya. And Daru Haridra Kashaya also is to be mixed with Gomutra, and that have to be used for Pana. Then it is told that except Vimlapana, all the other treatments mentioned for Kafaja Granthi can be done here in the Amavastha. From that, it have to be understood that it is about the Amavastha. Once it is Pakva, everywhere the treatment is same. That is, we have to go for Vedana, then Shodhana, and Ropana have to be done. Here for Shodhana, the Taila prepared with Sumana, Arushkara, Ankota, and Saptaparna is mentioned. Only the drugs will differ in case of Shodhana. Other than that, the modality, once the Pakvavastha is attained, it is the same like Vedana, Shodhana, and Ropana. Okay, because once the Pakvavastha is attained, there will be collection of pus inside, and the body itself want to get rid of the pus as it is a shalya. It's a foreign body. So somehow the pus have to be removed. Otherwise, it will cause complications. So once it reaches the Pakva Avastha, everywhere we have to go for Vedana, Shodhana, and Robana. So this is about Shleshma Vritti. Next, it is told about Rakta Vritti. Rakta Vritti, here it is mentioned a Krishna Spota Vritam, Pitta Vritti Lingam, Rakta Vritti. That is, Krishna Spota Vritam means the swelling will be covered, or over the swelling there will be appearance of Krishna Pitakas. Krishna color means black colored Pitakas nodules or cysts will be appearing on the swelling, and along with that all the features associated with Pitta Vritti like Jara, Daha, Ushma, all those features, Ashupaka, everything will be present here also. Because of the Astraya Bhava, the Pitta Bhavas will be present in this Rakta Vritti also. So Krishna Spota Vritam, Pitta Vritti, Lingam, Rakta Vritti. In addition to the Pitta Vritti Lakshanas, presence of Krishna Spota is told. Okay, here we can correlate this condition to hematocele. Hematocele is a condition where there is collection of blood in the scrotum. Okay, Rakta Vritti. From the name itself, we can directly link it, the collection with the blood. So here it is a condition where there is collection of blood in the scrotum. It can be due to the damage of any small vessel inside, maybe as a result of any injury, any trauma, it can occur. But the main feature is the collection of blood in the scrotum. Different types are mentioned. I think the notes have been provided to you. There, little elaborate description of hematocele is already given. The types, recent and chronic, all those features, everything is already given, I think. And next is about the Chikitsa. So in the Chikitsa, it is told, Raktajayam Jalokopi, Shonitam Narhare Dhisha, Pibed Virejanam Vapi, Sharkara Kshaudra Samhitam, Pitta Granthi Kramam Kuryat, Ame Pakvecha Sarvada. That is, in Raktaja Vritti, first is as there is Rakta Visheshan, of course, the proper Shodhana method, that is Rakta Mokshana, is being suggested here, and the method for Rakta Mokshana given is Jalokavacharna. So, Rakta Mokshana with Jalokavacharna is advised in case of Raktaja Vritti, and Pibet Virejanam Vapi Sharkara Kshaudra Samhitam. So, Virejana with drugs mixed with Sharkara and Kshaudra. Pittahara Dravyas can be administered here also, and along with that we have to add Sharkara and Chaudra. Then Pitta Granthi Kramam Kutya Game Pakvecha Sarpada. Same as we have told in Pitta Vritti. Those in the Amavastha we have to go with Pitta Granthi Chikitsa, and in the Pakvavastha same modality. As usual, what is the modality being administered? Same have to be done here also. Pakvecha Sarvada. As usual, whatever Chikitsa is to be done in the Pakvavastha, that have to be followed here also. That is Vedana, Shodhana, and Robana. So that is all about Rakta Vritti. Next is the Medho Vritti. So Medho Vritti, the shloka is Mridu Snigdham Kandumati Alpa Vedanam Tala Phala Prakasha Medho Vritti. That is, it is Mridu, soft in consistency or texture. There will be Snigdhada. In Vadavritti we have told it is Varushada, right? So here it is told it is Snigdha, it is untouched, it is slimy in nature. And Kandumati, there will be associated itching. And Alpa Vedana. Alpa Vedana, there will be mild pain. And Tala Phala Prakasha, it is resembling that of the Tala Phala in appearance. So here some features are related to that of the Kafaja Vritti, that Kandumati, Alpa Vedana, all those features are something related to that of the Kafaja Vritti. So it is Mridu, Snigdha, Kandumati, Alpa Vedana, and Tala Phala Prakasha, Medho Vritti. And this can be correlated to Medas, as it is more of, means whenever a disease is related to the Medodadu, we will correlate it to the lipomat conditions. So here we will take it as a with the possible correlation as scrotal lipomatosis. That is, there will be fatty mass in the scrotum. The content will be fat. There will be fatty mass in the scrotum, even though it is a rare condition. It can be taken as the possible correlation of the Medovrithi, because it is also a painless, comparatively less painful condition. So in that terms, because of the content it is fatty mass, we have taken it as a possible correlation to Medovrithi, that is scrotal lipomatosis. This is what is about Medovrithi. And next, about its chikitsa, it is told मेधसमुद्धां संस्वेद्य लेपयेत् सुरसादिना शिरोविरेकद्रव्यैर्वा सुखोष्णैर्मूत्रसंयुतै स्विन्नां च आवेष्ट्य पट्टेन समाश्वास्य तु मानवं रक्षन् फले सेवनीं च वृद्धिपत्रेण धारये भेदस्तत समुद्धृत्य दद्यात् कासीससैन्धवै बध्नीया च यथोत्तिष्ठं शुद्धे तैलं च दापयेत् मनशिलालवणे सिद्धमारुष्करेषु च. That is, first is told about the Svedana. Some Svedana have to be done. And then Lepayet Surasadina Shiro Videka Dravyava. That is Sukhoshne Mutra Samhita. So Sukhoshna Lepana should be done with the drugs present in Surasadigana. So Surasadigana Dravya or Shiro Virechana Gana Dravyas can be used here. And with those Dravyas, we have to prepare Lepa. And it should be mixed with Gomutra. And it can be applied in a Sukhoshna, lukewarm form, that can be applied over the scrotum. So first is Vedana, then it is told about Surasadi Gana Dravya and Shiro Virajana Gana Dravyas mixed with Gomutra can be used for Lepana in a Sukhoshna manner. And after Svedana, then it is told Swinnam, that is after Svedana. Once the Svedana is done, cha aveshtya pattena samashwasitu manavam, that is Veshtana have to be done with Vastra Patta. Then Rakshan Phales Visevanim cha Vriddhi Patrena Dhare. Then we have to use Vriddhi Patra for Dharana. Here means Vedana only. We have to do Vedana with Vriddhi Patra, and while doing the Vedana, the Phala and Sevani should be protected. Rakshan, Phale, Sevanicha, both the Phala, the testis and the median raphe should be protected, and then we have to go for Vedana with Vriddhi Patra. And then it is told Vedas Tada Samudritya Dadyat Kasisa Saindavai. That is, Samudritya here means we have to remove. We have to take the Medas, the content. That is, Medo Nirharana should be done. After Vedana, Medo Nirharana, Medas should be removed. And then for Shodhana, Kasisa and Saindava can be applied. Once the content is removed, for cleaning the cavity, for the proper Shodhana of the cavity, we can use Kasisa and Saindava. And then we have to do the Bandhana, Batniya Yadodhishta. So according to the proper Bandhana method, Bandhana should be done. And then Shuddhe Tailam cha Davayet Manashila Lavane Siddha Marushkareshu cha. So after using the Kasisa and Saindava, after proper bandaging, once it is found that it is properly cleaned, that is the Shuddha Avastha is attained, then we have to go for Ropana. And for Ropana, here it is told that the Taila prepared with Manashila, Ala, Lavana and Arushkara. These drugs can be used for the preparation of Taila, and this can be used for Ropana. So in Meda Vriddhi, Medoja Vriddhi, first Vedana is told, then Lepana is told with Surasadi and Shiro Videka Dravya, and then after Veshtana with Vastrapatta, we have to do the Bhedana with Vriddhi Patra, and then after the Vedana, we have to remove the content. That is, the Medo Nirharana should be done, and then for Shodhana, Kasisa and Saindava is told. After that, Bandhana should be done. Once the Shuddha Avastha, the proper Shodhana is confirmed, then the Ropana Chikitsa have to be done, and Ropana can be done with the Taila prepared of Manashila, Lavana, Ala and Arushkara. These are the drugs suggested for Ropana. So this is all about Medoja Vriddhi. Next is Mutra Vriddhi. So Mutra Vriddhi, it is told Mutra Sandharana Shilasya Mutra Vruddhir Bhavati Sa Gachado Ambupurna Dhritiriva Kshubhyati Mutra Krishra Vedana Vrishanayo श्वेदं कोशयोश्च आपादयति ता मूत्रवृद्धिं विद्यात्. So even though the cause is not mentioned particularly, but it is, in addition, it is told that it is occurring in persons who are doing mutra sandharana. That is, we have already studied the dharaniya vegas and adharaniya vegas in the earlier years, right? So if a person is undergoing mutra vega dharana, then in such persons there is chance of uh, happening of this mutra vritti. So mutra sandharana shilasya mutra vrittir bhavati. It is told that mutra vritti is mainly happening in those persons who are doing the suppression of mutra vega. Sa gachado, then it is told like what are the features of the mutra vritti. Sa gachado amba purna dhritirivak shubhyati. That is, there will be uh, the scrotum, the swelling will appear like a bag filled with ambu, water filled bag, water filled dhriti. Ambu purna dhritirivak shubhyati. So the scrotum will move, the swelling will be having the appearance or the movement or the on palpation, it will appear like a bag filled with water. Mutra krichra, that is, there will be dysuria, difficulty in urination. Vedana vrishanayoho shvedam koshayoscha avadedi. That is, there will be pain in the vrishna region and in the testicle, in the scrotal region, and also there will be shvedu koshayoho, that is, scrotal swelling also will develop in those persons. So once again, it is told that it is how the mutra vritti condition is occurring in persons who are uh, doing mutra vega dharana, and in such a condition, there the scrotum, the scrotal swelling will appear as if it is a bag filled with ambu, water, and there will be dysuria, difficulty in urination. There will be pain in the vrishna region and also swelling in the phalakosha, that is a scrotum, and this condition is called mutra vritti. So that is about mutra vritti. And mutra vritti, as I have told, it is mainly, it's possibly it is correlated to the hydrocele. Hydrocele we will be dealing in detail in the next part. So I'm not going into the hydrocele part. And next is the chikitsa. Chikitsa, it is told, मूत्रजां स्वेदयित्वा तु वस्त्रपट्टेन वेष्टयेत् सेवन्या पार्श्वतो अधस्तात् विद्येत् व्रीहिमुखेन तु अध अत्र द्विमुखां नाडी दत्वा विस्रावयेद्भिषक् मूत्रं नाडीमधोद्धृत्य स्थगिकाबन्धमाचरेत् शुद्धायां रोपणं दद्यात्. That is, in mutra vritti, what we have to do? First thing is svedayitva. First is svedana have to be done. Then to vastrapattena veshte, that is veshtana with vastrapatta. That is a method to create the tension inside the scrotum, so as to facilitate the procedure easily. So we have to go for vastrapatta veshtana, and then sevanya parshado means where we have to go do the vyathana. Here, as the content is this mutra, it is told like it's a fluid content, so we have to go for vyathana. So it is told sevanya parshvado adastat. So when we take the scrotum, we have to see that on the sides of the sevani, on the sides of the median raphe, that is protecting the sevani, we have to do the vyathana. And adastat, to the downward part where we can empty the fluid very easily. We are making the puncture at the lower part to facilitate the procedure, to facilitate the proper evacuation. We are suggesting a site which is on the either sides of the sevani, median raphe, in order to protect the sevani, and downwards, little downwards, the puncture should be made. Vidhyet brihi mukhenatu. So vedana should be done with the brihi mukha shastra. And adha atra, once the opening is made, once the cut is made, once the puncture is made, then adha atra dvimukham nadi indatva. So we have to insert into the puncture, that opening, we have to insert dvimukha nadi, that is a tubular structure which is having two openings, opening at the two ends. Such a nadi should be inserted. So adhasta, the location is told where we have to do the puncture, and with that puncture, the opening, into that opening dvimukha nadi have to be inserted, and then vistaved bishak, that is using the nadi, the fluid should be evacuated, the draining procedure should be done, visravana should be done. Mutram Nadi Madhodritya. So once it is made clear that the entire fluid, entire content is being evacuated, once the fluid is evacuated completely, then Mutram Nadi Adhodritya. Nadi Madhodritya means the Nadi should be removed. Then the Nadi should be removed and Stagiga Bandha Machare. Stagiga Bandha should be applied. And after that, after proper Shodhana is ensured, we have to go for Ropana. Same. Once the Shodhana process is over, we have to make it clear that we have to do the Ropana. Shuddhayam Ropanam Dadyat. So once the Shodhana is complete, we have to go for Ropana. So once again, Mutravritti, it is told it is a condition which is commonly occurring in persons which who are doing the Mutra Veka Dharana, and in that case the scrotum and scrotum swelling will appear as if it is a bag filled with water, and there will be Mutra Krishna, Vedana in the Vrashana, and Shvaidu in the Kosha. And for its Chikitsa, it is told first Vedana have to be done, then Veshtana with Vastra have to be done, then selection of the site, that is we have to protect the Sevani. So on the either sides of the Sevani, we can in the downward direction, in the lower part, we have to do the Vyadhana, and through the opening made, we have to insert a Dvimukha Nadi, and the Visravana have to be done. And once the content is completely evacuated, once the fluid is completely removed, we have to do remove the Nadi, and then Stagiga Bandha is applied. And after ensuring that the Shodhana is complete, proper Shodhana is being done, we have to go for Ropana. This is what is told about Mutraja Vritti Chikitsa. And next is about the Andhra Vritti. So Andhra Vritti, it is told, unlike the other conditions, certain causes are told. Specific Nidana is being told about the Andhra Vritti. So that is Bharaharana Balavad Vigraha Vriksha Prapadanadibhir Ayasa Vishesher Vayur Abhipravritha Prakupitascha Stulandrasya Itarasya Chegadesha Vigunamadaya Adhogadva Vankshana Sandhin Upetya Grandhi Rubena Stitva Apratikriyamanech Kalantarena Palakosham Pravishya Mushka Shofam Abadeti. So it is told like due to reasons, due to the causes like Bharaharana, lifting heavy weights, Balavad Vigraha means that fighting with a stronger person than one, and then Vriksha Prabhadana, falling off trees, and all those strenuous activities. Because of those strenuous activities, what happens? The Vata gets aggravated, and this aggravated Vata will afflict the Stulandra, and it causes the Adha movement, the downward movement of the Stulandra, and it get localized in the Vankshana Sandhi. The Stulandra is afflicted and the Stulandra is moved downwards, and it get localized in the Vankshana Sandhi, like a Grandhi, like a swelling or like a tumor, like a nodule. It will stay in the Vankshana Sandhi for a period. Then it is told Apradikriyamanecha Kalantarena. So once it is left untreated, once the condition is left untreated, Apradikriyamanena, if it is left untreated without any treatment, cha Kalantarena, and as the time goes, what happens? Palakosham Pravishya Mushka Shofam Apadedi. The Stulandra, which is situating in the Vankshana Pradesha, will move downwards into the Falakosha and causes Mushka Shofa. This is what is happening in Andhra Vritti. So due to certain reasons like Bharaharana, Balavad Vigraha, Vriksha Prabhadana, etc., those strenuous activities causes vitiation or aggravation of the Vata, and that vitiated Vata will act on the Stulandra, resulting in the downward movement of the Stulandra, and it gets situated in the localized in the Vankshana Sandhi for a long time as a Grandhi, as a swelling. Then what happens? As the time passes, if it is left untreated, then this andhra will move downwards into the Falakosha and will result in Mushka Shofa. This is the pathology, what is happening in Andhra Vritti. And now the Lakshanas. It is told Atmado Vasti Rivadada. That is Atmado Vasti Rivadada. Earlier I have told Adada means Atmada. Here it is told like Vistirna. That is Atmado Vasti Rivadada. That is distension only. That bag filled with air. It will the swelling feels like a bag filled with air. the Atmada and Adada, here the Adada word is mentioning about the Vistirna. It will increase in the size. So the swelling will feel like a bag filled with air. Pradirgha, the shape of the swelling, it will be Dirgha, Pradirgha. It will be having a elongated shape. Sashofa Bhavati, the swelling will be having those features. And Sashabdam, Avapidide, Avapididascha Murtham Upedi, Vimuktascha Punaratmayate. So this is an examination, which means on examination we can find this feature, that is Sashabdam Avapididascha Urtham Upedi. So if we are applying pressure, when we are applying pressure or when we are trying to push the content upwards, Sashabdam Avapididascha Urtham Upedi, it will with sound means along with sound it will move upwards. And Vimuktascha Punaratmayate. So once the pressure is released, the swelling reappears. So that is an examination point of view just told. Once you are Andravritti is coordinated to hernia, and once you are dealing with the hernia portion, you will be getting more idea of that examination. So tam Andravritti asadhya iti achakshate. So this condition is called Andravritti and it is considered as an asadhya vyadhi. Okay, that is about the description of Andravritti. And next, even though it is told Asadhya, again there is a mentioning about the Chikitsa, and it is told like Varjed Andrahedi. Generally, it is told that Andhra have to be means Andhra have to be rejected. It should be considered as an Asadhya Vyadi. But still, certain conditions are told. That is, if the Vritti has not reached the Falakosha, Aprapta Falakoshaya, Vada Vritti Kramohita. That is already it is told. In the late stage only it will be entering into the Falakosha. So if it is not entering, if it has not reached the Falakosha, that is if it is incomplete, then it can be treated as like that of the Vada Vritti. So that is told as a separate thing. Aprapta Falakoshayam Vada Vritti Kramohita. Tatraya Vangshanasta Tam. Then it is told Tatraya Vangshanastan Tan Dahet Arthendu Vakraya. Then it is told about the Agni Karma. That is, if it has reached Falakosha, then also it is have to be considered untreated, but still, if it is situated in the Vangshana, Tatraya Vangshanastan Tan Dahet Arthendru Vakraya. That is, in the if it is in the Vangshana Pradesha, then Dahana should be done. Dahana should be done with Arthendra Vakra Shalaka. That is, Shalaka is to do the Agni Karma. Shalaka is mentioned. So with Agni Karma, with Shalaka, we have to do the Agni Karma. Why? For what this Agni Karma is being done? Samyak Marga Avarodhartha. That is to obstruct the Marga. To prevent the further descent of the Andhra, we have to go with this Dahana procedure, the Agni Karma procedure. Then it is told if this, again, if these measures fail, another method is told like Tvajam Pitva Angushta Madhye Dahecha Anga Viparyayat Aneneva Vidhanena Vritti Vata Kapatmike Pradahet Praya Kintu Snayu Chedo Adhikas Tayoho. That is, we have to do Tvak Matra Chedana. That is the thickness of Tvak. That with that thickness, Chedana should be done in the Angushta Madhya, and then Agni Karma should be done. First Chedana and then Agni Karma should be done in the Angushta Madhya. And it is told that it should be done in an Anga Viparyaya manner. That is, if Andhra Vritti is in Vama Bhaga, then we have to go with the procedure in the Dakshina Angushta. And if the Andhra Vritti is in the Dakshina Bhaga, we have to go vice versa. That is, the procedure have to be done in the Vama Bhaga. So in Anga Viparyaya manner, this procedure have to be done. And another method, if the above methods fail, it is told about the Sira Vyadhana. And for Sira Vyadhana, the site mentioned is it have to be done to the Sira between the Shankha and Karna. Shankha Uparicha Karnante. Okay, between the Shankha and Karna, we have to do the Sira Vyadhana. There also the Sevani have to be, the Marma points should be protected. Okay. Then Nitya Sattva Siram with it, same thing. Siravatana procedure is being true. So again, Andhra Vritti Chikitsa is mentioned like if it has not reached the Falakosha, if it is incomplete, we can go with Vadaja Vritti. And if it has reached Falakosha, it should be considered asadhya and it should be rejected. And then If it is situated in the Vangshana, we have to go with Agni Karma with Adhindvaktra Shalaka, and that is to create the Marga Varodha, to obstruct the path, to prevent the further descent of the Andhra. And if these measures fail, we have to go with Vakmatra Chedana in the Angushta Madhya, in a then followed by Agni Karma in an Anga Viparya manner. That is, if Andhra Vrathi is in Vama Bhaga, we have to go with the procedure in the Dakshina Angushta and vice versa. And finally, there is mentioning about the Sira Vedha also. And the site selected is Shankha Upari Karnade, between the Shankha and Karna. So this is what is mentioned about the Chikitsa of Andhra Vrathi. And next is the Sadhya Sadhita. From the above shloka itself, it is clear that Andhra Vrathi is considered as Asadhya and the other 6 varieties are considered Sadhya. Nothing in detail about that. And then about the Apatyas. It is mentioned about the Apatyas in Vriddhi Roga. Generally, those strenuous activities should be avoided, which will cause again pressure and all, and also Vada Dushti, which will cause the Vada Dushti. Such factors should be avoided. Here, special mentioning is about Ashwadhyanam, Vyayamam, Maidhunam, Vega Nigraham, Atyasanam, Chankramanam, Upavasam, Guru Nicha. So, the patients should avoid that Ashwadhyana, means riding on the animals, that will be strenuous in nature, the travel on the animals. Then Vyayama, of course, physical exercises. Then Maiduna, sexual act. Vega Nigraha, suppression of any kind of urges will lead to the Vada vitiation. So it have to be prevented. And then Atyasana, sitting for long term, that also causes Vata Vriddhi. Chankramana, Upavasa, Guru Nija, means Upavasa, fasting, and also intake of excessive Guru Ahara, that also have to be avoided. Both Upavasa have to be avoided, and also the intake of Guru Ahara have to be avoided. So these are the Apatyas mentioned in the Vriddhi Roga. So this is all about Vriddhi Roga, the Ayurvedic concept. So we have dealt about the Paribhasha, the Nidana, Samprapti, Veda, Purvarupa, and the Lakshanas and Chikitsa of the individual Vriddhi Rogas. And we have seen the Sadhya Sadhita and the Apatyas in Vriddhi Roga. Hope it is clear till now. Now we will move on with the modern aspect, that is the hydrocele. Hydrocele. Hydrocele, by definition, it is a condition where there is abnormal collection of serous fluid and a part of the processus vaginalis, that is usually the tunica vaginalis. So before moving on to hydrocele, the disease, we have to know certain terms which you have already learned in the anatomy portion, that is processus vaginalis, funicular process, tunica vaginalis. All those terms you should be familiar. So just to brush up those, I will tell. First thing, during the uh, intrauterine life, the first phases, the testis is situated inside the abdomen. So further from the developmental process, during the developmental process, the testis will descend downwards and reach the scrotum by the 9th month. So during the process of descent, along with the testis, first a portion of the peritoneum is moving down, that is the processus vaginalis. So first the descent of testis is preceded by the processus vaginalis, and the processus vaginalis will come downward, and it will into the processus vaginalis, the testis will insinuate. So here in the picture it is visible what is the processus vaginalis and the portion which is covering the testis, and the portion of processus vaginalis to which the testis is getting insinuated, that part is called tunica vaginalis. And this is what is happening. The first picture is about what is happening during the descent. And then by time, what happens? There will be regression of the processus vaginalis. Except the tunica vaginalis, the above part gets regressed. So there will be regression of the processus vaginalis, and that will remain as a patent, means it will be a closed portion, and that process is called funicular process. That is, the regress portion of the processus vaginalis will remain as a funicular process. So these are the structures. Processus vaginalis you have seen. Then tunica vaginalis is the portion which is covering the testis, which is closely related to the testis, tunica vaginalis. And the remaining portion, the regress portion of the processus vaginalis is called the funicular process. So that is the basic things. And here, then, when we take hydrocele, as I have told by definition, it is the abnormal collection of the serous fluid in part of the processus vaginalis. That is the tunica vaginalis. The tunica vaginalis alone, there will be collection of the serous fluid. That is an abnormal collection of the serous fluid inside the tunica vaginalis. That condition is called hydrocele. From the word term itself, there is hydro and seal. So there is a collection of fluid. A liquid part is being collected. So that is the condition. And next, just for the knowledge, what is the composition? Though it is an amber colored fluid, it is sterile. It is not containing any type of microorganisms or any other material. So it is a sterile fluid, and it contains water, inorganic salts, albumin, fibrinogen, etc. And the specific gravity is also given. Next, how it is caused, the etiology. So mainly whenever there is an abnormal collection, we have to think some possible causes are there. One thing is there is abnormal production of fluid. So because of that only, there will be a normal amount of fluid getting collected. But there is abnormal collection. So there is an increase in the collection. So one thing is there will be excessive production of fluid within that cavity. So the etiology, first thing is there will be an excessive production. And second is, even though there is a continuous production, why it is not normally getting accumulated? Because there is an amount of absorption also. So here, when there is an abnormal collection, there will be defect in the absorption phase also. Okay, so first is excessive production, then next is defective absorption, and next is the interference with the lymphatic drainage. That is, the proper drainage mechanism is hampered. So due to that also, there can be abnormal accumulation. Next is connection with the peritoneal cavity. Peritoneal cavity, where there is peritoneal fluid. So when there is a direct connection with that cavity, the fluid from the peritoneal cavity can enter into this sac. So possible 4 ways of the causation of hydrocele are excessive production, defective absorption, the interference with the lymphatic drainage, and any connection with the peritoneal cavity. Next is about the types. So basic classification, the types are congenital and acquired. And acquired, again, it is classified to primary and secondary. That is the basic classification of hydrocele, congenital and acquired, primary and secondary. First, I am mentioning about the primary vaginal hydrocele. Why? Because when the Mutraja Vritti is correlated, more near correlation can be made with this primary vaginal hydrocele. So primary vaginal hydrocele is a condition where there is accumulation in the tunica vaginalis, as told earlier. It is the commonest variety. Among the other varieties of hydrocele, this primary vaginal hydrocele is considered as the common one, and it is occurring mostly in the middle-aged group, and it can be unilateral, it can be bilateral. And the thing is, the main complaint is the swelling of the scrotum. There will not be any pain or any other discomfort associated in the initial phase. So the patients will, as it is related to the reproductive system, there will be a rejection from the side of the patient also. They will keep the complaint as such. They will not be ready to consult a surgeon or a physician, whatever it is. So this, as there is the only complaint is swelling, when the patient approaches the doctor, it will be a stage where it have produced a discomfort. It may not be pain, but because of the large size, the patient may feel discomfort. And because of that discomfort, the patient will think of approaching the doctor. So as the main and only complaint is the swelling of the scrotum, there is chance that the patient will approach the consultant only once it have achieved a enormous size. And next thing is, as I have told, no other features. The color, temperature, everything will be normal. Tenderness will not be there as the content is fluid. The percussion will be dull. And testis is not palpable. Why? Because testis is not palpable because the size of the swelling is large. That is, the fluid collection is very huge. So, because of that much collection of fluid, the testis will be impalpable because around the body of the testis there will be fluid, and so the testis is not palpable in this condition. Next is about the test being done, that is fluctuation test. Fluctuation test is like we have to fix the hydrocele with one hand, and after fixing the hydrocele with one hand, we have to feel the fluid movement using the fingers. And we can, in the perpendicular direction, if we hold the fingers and try to move the swelling, we can feel the fluid movement. That test is called fluctuation test. So inside the content is fluid. So here in hydrocele, the fluctuation test will be positive. The swelling will be fluctuant. Once again, we will be fixing the hydrocele in one hand, and using the fingers of the other hand, we will be trying to feel the fluid movement. As the content is fluid, there we can feel the fluid movement, and hence the fluctuation test is positive. Next is the transilluminance test. That is, we have to uh, not the transillumination. Once we will uh, keep a source of light from one side, and then from the opposite side we have to check for the transilluminance. So in this, it is a clear fluid present inside the hydrocele. We can uh, see the transilluminance very brightly. So in this condition, the transilluminance test will be positive. That is the second test being told here, transilluminance test, that is positive as there is clear fluid inside the hydrocele. But in certain cases, if this hydrocele is long standing, if due to that, if there is any infection, if there is pus collection and all, we will not get the transilluminance proper. So there will be non-transilluminance seen in certain hydroceles, but in this case, initially, as the clear fluid is present inside, the transillumination test also will be positive. Next test is get above the swelling. Get above the swelling means it is a test which is done to assess whether the swelling is scrotal swelling, purely scrotal. That is, the entire swelling is restricted to the scrotum only, or it is an inguinoscrotal swelling. That is, the swelling is connected to the inguinal region also. So, whether, to assess whether the swelling in the scrotum is purely scrotal or it is an inguinoscrotal swelling, we have to go for this test. This test is done in the picture. It is seen. That is, we have to hold the root of the scrotum, and while feeling the root of the scrotum, if it is purely scrotal, we will not get any other structures. We will feel only the cord structures, the spermatic cord and the associated things only we will be getting. Other than that, we will not get any other structures. But in case of a hernia, because it is descending from the inguinal canal, so in case of hernia, we will not be able to palpate the cord structures because the other structures, other contents will be hampering the feeling. Okay, so once if we are getting the get above the swelling, if we can get above the swelling, then it should be considered that it is a purely scrotal swelling. As hydrocele is a swelling which is restricted to the scrotum alone, here also we can get above the swelling. That is the third important test. And testicular sensation, it is told like we have told that testicles cannot be palpated. So it can be elicited in vaginal hydrocele by transmitting a pressure sensation through the fluid. So once we transmit a pressure, we can feel the sensation, the testis sensation can be felt during the movement. So that is what is about testicular sensation. All these are the main tests. Some other tests are also there, but still the main test being told in the primary vaginal hydrocele, these are the ones. Hope it is clear. Then we are moving on to the other types. There are many other types also mentioned under this hydrocele topic. Among that, we can tell about first thing, the congenital hydrocele. Congenital hydrocele is that we have seen the processus vaginalis. Right, in the previous slide, we have seen what is processus vaginalis. And we have told that after the proper development, what happens? The processus vaginalis will be closed and it will regress and funicular processes form, right? But in case of this congenital hydrocele, what happens is the processus vaginalis remains patent. Congenital means due to a developmental abnormality. So proper development is not happening. Some defect is happening in the descent, and hence the processus vaginalis remains patent. It will remain open, and by that there will be a connection with the peritoneal cavity. Even though the connection is too small, so the chance of getting hernia is not there. But still, through that small opening, fluid can transmit to the path. So there will be chance of getting congenital hydrocele. Here the cause is processus vaginalis remains patent. And next is infantile hydrocele. From the term infantile, it is not like it is not having any relation with the infant age. It is just the name. So infantile hydrocele means here in this condition, the tunica and the processus vaginalis are distended up to the deep inguinal rim. That is, it is extended up to the deep inguinal ring, but it is not having any connection to the peritoneal cavity. Earlier in the congenital hydrocele, we have told there is a connection with the peritoneal cavity. Here, even though the hydrocele portion, the tunica vaginalis and the processus vaginalis is uh, extending up to the deep inguinal ring, it is not having a connection with the peritoneal cavity. So that is the condition of infantile hydrocele. Then it is a funicular variety, funicular type of hydrocele. There, the funicular process is closed just above the tunica vaginalis. So there is a swelling in the inguinal region. Okay. So the funicular process, as you know, the funicular process is between. It is a connection between the processus vaginalis and the tunica vaginalis. So it is lying between, means above to the tunica vaginalis. So when there is fluid collection in the funicular part, then there is an appearance of a swelling, and that will be inguinal only because above the scrotal region, above the testis region, it is closed. So there will be a inguinal swelling, like feeling in the funicular process. Next, it is about the encysted hydrocele of the cord. That is in the patent funicular process. And there is no opening in the funicular. There is no closage. The funicular process will remain open in a portion. That is, there will be fluid collection in the portion of the patent funicular process. Earlier in the funicular hydrocele, we have told the entire funicular process will be filled. There will be hydrocele. There will be collection of fluid in the entire funicular process. But here it is like a portion of the patent funicular process. There will be fluid collection. So it will appear as cyst on the cord. So there will not be the entire funicular process will not be accumulated with fluid. Only a small portion will be means in a small portion only there will be accumulation of fluid, and hence it appears as if there is a cyst. So it is called encysted hydrocele of the cord. Then the next condition is hydrocele end bisac. There will be two intercommunicating sacs. That is one means in the neck of scrotum, one in the inguinal region and one below the inguinal region. So two intercommunicating sacs will be present. That is hydrocele end bisac, and it is also called as bilocular hydrocele. There is two locules, two intercommunicating sacs will be there. Next is hydrocele of the canal of Mach, that is which is found in female in relation to the round ligament, and that is a swelling which is always in the inguinal canal. Next is another chance of hydrocele of the hernial sac, because in a herniated sac there will be adhesions due to the means the contents will be causing adhesions inside the sac, and because of the adhesions there will be fluid retention inside the sac. That is another variety, that is hydrocele of the hernial sac. And next important classification is secondary vaginal hydrocele. Oh, before that, we will move on to the pictures. In the first picture, it is congenital hydrocele. There you can see that the entire path is open. That is, the processus vaginalis have not closed. And there is a direct connection with the tunica vaginalis. And above also, the peritoneal cavity, there is linked with the peritoneal cavity. So that is the first variety, that is congenital hydrocele. The second image is the funicular hydrocele. There you can see the funicular process. It is not involving the uh, vaginal hydrocele and all. The funicular process itself is getting fluid accumulated. Third is the infantile variety, and fourth one the encysted. Encysted, here you can see the funicular portion. A part of the funicular process is getting fluid accumulation. And the fifth one is the vaginal hydrocele, where there is fluid collection in the tunica vaginalis alone. So this variety is mainly considered as the nutriture Bruthi. And then next picture is about the hydrocele and bisect and hydrocele of the canal of neck. All these pictures you can see in this slide. Next is about the secondary vaginal hydrocele. As you know, the name suggests secondary vaginal hydrocele means there is another underlying pathology for the causation of accumulation of fluid. So, unlike the primary vaginal hydrocele, where we have told the primary vaginal hydrocele will be big in size, it will be dense, and the testis is not usually palpable in case of primary vaginal hydrocele. But here in secondary vaginal hydrocele, it is the opposite. That is, the hydrocele will be small, it will be lax, and testis is usually palpable. There is some exceptions, like in case of filariasis, it can become huge sized, but still commonly the secondary vaginal hydrocele is small, lax, and there the testis is usually palpable, unlike the primary hydrocele. And the causes, as I have told, there will be underlying causes. It can be infection, mainly filariasis. It can be tuberculosis, syphilis. All those infections can be the cause, and any injury, especially post herniorrhaphy hydrocele. That is after the surgery of inguinal hernia. Then it can cause the secondary vaginal hydrocele and any kind of tumors. These can lead to secondary vaginal hydrocele. These are the causes mainly. And next about that secondary vaginal hydrocele, main thing post herniorrhaphy hydrocele and filarial hydrocele, that's chylocele. Just to know about that, what is post herniorrhaphy hydrocele? It is a secondary hydrocele where it is occurring after the surgery for inguinal hernia. That is, during the surgery, there can be damage to the lymphatic vessels, and because of that, due to that lymphatic damage, there can be accumulation of fluid inside the cavity, and hence it can cause hydrocele. That is post herniorrhaphy hydrocele. It is a condition occurring after the surgery for inguinal hernia. Next is filarial hydrocele and chylocele. That is due to means after the repeated attacks of filarial infection. Filariasis. After the filarial attacks, it is commonly caused and it is mainly occurring in coastal region side. And in these cases, there will be large sized hydroceles and the sac will be thickened. Filariasis, you know, the feature itself was like thick skin and all will be present. Here also, as it is a result of filarial attacks, the size of the hydrocele will be large, the sac will be thickened. And then the complications of hydrocele, mainly the complications are infection. The chance of getting infections are there as the hydrocele is left untreated. It can cause certain infections, and once there is infection, the collection can change into pus. So pyocele can occur. Hematocele, when the size of the hydrocele is large, the chances of trauma is increasing. So there can, because of slight trauma, also hematocele can happen. Then atrophy of testis, infertility, hernia of hydrocele sac, calcification of the sac wall. These are the common complications of hydrocele. Then about the differential diagnosis, inguinal hernia, epididymal cyst, spermatocele, testicular tumor, scrotal edema, all those swellings which can be which are occurring in the scrotal region, that can be considered and taken as differential diagnosis for hydrocele. Next is about the treatments. Mainly surgery is being indicated in the hydrocele, and the main surgeries told are Lord's vacation, evacuation and eversion, subtotal excision, Jabali's operation, Sharma and Jover technique. These are the main operations told in the treatment of hydrocele. So the procedure is the general procedure. Whatever the main procedure is, first things we have to note are, first thing is anesthesia. We can do it in GA, we can do it in spinal, or we can go for local anesthesia, and then cleaning and waiting. Then incision. Here you can see a vertical incision of about 6 to 8 centimeter in length is made over the scrotum, anteriorly 1 centimeter lateral to the median bacteria. There in the Ayurvedic concept also we have told about the Sevani. We have to spare the Sevani and we have to go further with an. Here also it is told that lateral to median bacteria we have to go for the incision, and the layers, skin, dartos, external spermatic fascia, internal spermatic fascia, all those layers have to be incised, and then we have to identify the sac. It will be bluish hydrocele sac, that is the parietal layer of tunica vaginalis, that will be seen once the internal spermatic fascia is open. And after the sac is being identified, we have to evacuate the fluid inside using a trocar and cannula, and then once the fluid is completely evacuated, we can open the sac. This is the general procedure what we have to do, and then the specifications regarding other procedures, that is Lord's plication, evacuation and reversion, subtotal excision, Jebel's operation, Sharma and Grover technique, all these will come. That is, in Lord's plication, once we have opened the sac, if the sac is small, thin and contains clear fluid, there is no signs of infection or no signs of any complication, then we can go for Lord's plication or evacuation and reversion. Here where Lord's plication, the sac, the tunica have to be bunched into a ruff. Here we can see in the image, by keeping multiple interrupted chromic catgut sutures, we can make the sac into a bunch, into a ruff, and then it can be sutured. So that the sac we have made it into a fibrous tissue. So there will not be, it will be avascular and there will be no chance of hematoma. So first thing is plicating. Plicating means it is made into a rough by placing multiple sutures. And another procedure is evacuation and eversion. That is, we have evacuated the fluid and then we will evert the sac. The inner portion of the sac should be coming outside. Like that, eversion of the sac should be done behind the testis. That is the second procedure. First is Lord's plication, second is evacuation and eversion. Then this is the case in which the sac is small, thin and contains clear fluid. Next is if the sac is thick, that is in case of large hydrocele and in chylocele and all, we have to, when the sac is so thick, when repairing, we have to excise a portion of the sac. As the sac is closely related to the testis and all, we cannot go for complete excision. So a subtotal excision of the sac is done because the sac is so thick and the hydrocele was so large. That is subtotal excision. And then another procedure is done where there will be excision and eversion is done. Along with that excision, partially the excision is done and then we will go for the eversion also. In that condition, the name is given like Jebel's operation. That is the difference. So, Lord's plication, evacuation and eversion, subtotal excision, Jebel's operation. Then the fifth method told is Sharma and Jover's technique. Here, a pocket is made in the facial layers of scrotum. That is, a separate pocket is created inside the layers of scrotum, and this sac, along with the testis, is placed inside this pocket. That technique, after proper evacuation, the sac along with the testis is placed inside the newly created pocket between the layers of the scrotum. This technique is called Sharma and Jover's technique. Some cases it is suggested aspiration alone, but it is told that aspiration alone, the fluid evacuation alone, even if it is done, it is a temporary measure. There is chances of hematocele, there is chances of recurrence. Again, the fluid gets accumulated. So aspiration is considered as a temporary measure. So once again, after the preliminary procedure, once the sac is opened, we can go for the different methods. Lord's plication, where the sac is made into a bunch and made into a rough, and then suture is applied. And then another procedure where there is evacuation. Evacuation is done, and then eversion is done. Next is the subtotal excision alone. A part of a portion of sac is excised total. It means in a subtotal manner. Subtotal excision is done. And in Jebel's operation, excision, partial excision is done. Along with that, eversion is also done. Then Sharma and Jover's technique, wherein the After the evacuation, the sac with the testis is placed in a newly created pocket, which is created inside the facial layers of the scrotum. That is the Sharma and Jover's technique. And then your aspiration, even if it is told as a temporary measure as the chance of preference is more. These are the main procedures. And after this also, we have to place a drain inside the near to the scrotum, lateral aspect, because as it is a more dependent portion, we have to give the um, drain, because there can be chances of collection or any kind of secretion. If it is there, we have to place a drain, and along with that, scrotal support bandaging should be done. Okay, then drain should be removed in 48 hours. That is all about the treatment. And complications of surgery, mainly reactionary hemorrhage, infection, pyrosil. There are chances of complications after the surgery also. This is about the treatment aspect. In this image, you can see the anesthesia is being given. The layer by layer opening is done. Then the sac is identified. It is opened. Evacuation is done. Then the sac is opened. And according to different procedures, different methods are being adopted. Excision of the sac, diversion of the sac, and that placation. Then finally, the wounds are closed by layers, and we have to go for application of drain. And further, after 48 hours, drain should be removed, and proper bandage support should be given to the scrotum. So this is what is about Vritti. It's Ayurvedic management, and Mutraja Vritti with special reference to hydrosil. So once again, to sum up, we have seen Vritti, Roga, as mentioned in the Ayurvedic classics. We have seen the definition, that is, due to the vitiated doshas moving into the Adho Marga or in the Adho Sharira, there will be affliction in the Palakosha Vahini Dhamani, and it causes Palakosha Vritti, which is the Vritti Roga as such. And about the Bheda, 7 types mainly. Charaka tells about 6 types. And the 7 types are Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Meda, Rakta, Mutra, and Andhra Vritti. And among that, Andhra Vritti is considered as Asadhya Vyadhi. Other 6 are considered to be Sadhya Vyadhis only. And individually, we have seen the lakshanas of the all those Vritti Rogas, and its treatment have been seen. Mutraja Vritti, we have seen in detail with reference to hydrosil. Mutraja Vritti is a condition which is told like it is happening in those persons who are indulging in Mutra Vega Dharana. And in that cases, there will be a another Dispasha, there will be dysuria, there will be pain in the Vanshana, there will be Shukashoka, Kalakosha Shoka, and all. And there also a similar treatment is being mentioned. That is, with the Nadi, they are telling about the evacuation. The Stravana is being told. Here also it is mentioned. And while mentioning the treatment, while mentioning the Vedana, there is mentioning about protecting the Sevani. When doing the modern also, when doing the surgery, we are telling to protect the median raphe. And about the hydrosil, we have seen normally the descent of hydrosil, the main terms, processus vaginalis, tunicular process, and tunica vaginalis. Hydrosil is an abnormal collection of fluid in the tunica vaginalis. Different types we have seen, and especially particularly we are telling the Mutraja Vritti can be correlated to that of the primary vaginal hydrosil according to the symptoms. The chikitsa means the treatment side, we have seen the different surgeries. This is all about Vritti Roga and its treatment along with hydrosil. And in the notes, it is told about PIOC, other conditions where there is fluid, means different kind of fluid collection in the scrotum. So this is what is about Vritti Roga and hydrosil. Thank you.
Now the participant can ask their queries or doubts, or can put in the chat box. The participants can unmute and ask their doubts. So thank you all.